Morning, everybody. Happy Monday. I am live, apparently. Welcome, welcome. Happy 11th of April. Welcome. If you are new here, my name's Sabina. I do these regularly on a Monday to check in, see how you are. Sometimes I have a topic, sometimes I don't. I see what just comes to be shared. Sometimes over the weekend, it'll just start to form, come together. This time I already had something that's been brewing for a couple of weeks, and it's starting. I have enough of it now that I can actually share what's been coming through about it. And so the main topic today is letting go. But as always, say hi when you enter the room. Let me know how you are. Let me know how you're traveling, what's coming up for you, what's showing up for you during this time on planet Earth, and on the micro in your own life and on the macro in the collective, what's affecting you, how are you traveling, and any questions that you have kind of on any topic. It doesn't have to stay on topic. So letting go. It's a big topic at the moment because there are so many. We're all being called to let go. We're all being called to let go of various things. Some people a lot more than others, in the sense of shifting, changing. Hi, Amy. How lovely to have you live. Shifting, changing jobs, family structures, family dynamics, maybe where you live, friends, maybe beliefs, the whole kind of premise that you had about what goes on here on this planet, what this life is about, what your life is, maybe the trajectory you were on. So much might have changed in the last 2 years, maybe in the last 1 year, maybe in the last week for you, whatever. We're all being called to let go. And so I want to talk about why letting go is so vital and so important, what happens when we don't let go, and also how our reluctance, or I should say ego's reluctance to let go, is being used to manipulate us on a macro level. So where to start? Okay, I'm going to share with you an image that has been coming to me since I decided to do it on this topic, that feels like it's really, hi Lisa, how are you? Hi Haruka, lovely to have you all in the room. I'm going to share this image with you as kind of like a foundation, kind of a starting ground. Hi Angela. So many of you might remember Gulliver's Travels, and when Gulliver is lying on the ground and all the I can't remember exactly what was going on, but it's the little people have kind of like tied him down to the ground, right? He's got all of these ropes all over him. Hi, Paulo. He's got all of these ropes all over him and he's tied down. And that's the image that I keep getting. What we actually do to ourselves when we are not in flow and letting go, okay? So things that we do not let go of anchor us down. Literally like that image of Gulliver's Travels, we're tied down and now can't get up. So the things that tie us down are the things we can't let go of. The things we can't let go of is what anchors us in. They're almost like anchors that weigh us into this now point, into this reality point, into this timeline point. We are led to believe, and we're kind of taught, that time moves. But it's not time that moves. Firstly, of course, I mean, there is no such thing as time, but in this realm, we need that. We need that to make sense of things. We need that to structure things so that we don't become overwhelmed. So factoring in that time is a thing, that we think that's time that moves. It is not time that moves. It is us that moves through time. And when we are not able to let go, we anchor ourselves into a time. We anchor ourselves into being still, stagnant, and stuck. And so the things that we might wish to change, like we might wish to see a different landscape, we might wish to be in a different timeline, we might wish for people to evolve and grow, for narratives to collapse, for things to change. This cannot happen while we are so heavily anchored in, and what anchors us in is what we are not able to let go of. Why are we not able to let go? So the other thing I want to share with you today is why the ego is so reluctant to let go. Okay. And when I say let go, let's separate that out into what weighs me down and what actually lifts me up. Okay. Start to think of each experience that you've had, each relationship, anything that has happened to you or is currently happening to you can be put into two sections. There is what weighs you down, and there is what lifts you up in each and every experience that you're having. Hi, Marianne. In each and every experience that you're having. We're talking today about we're not just talking about that today, but let's first look at what weighs you down in each and every experience that you might be having, having in relationships that you're in things that are going on. What weighs you down is the realm of the ego saying and repeating what has happened, the detail. What weighs you down is the detail when we get bogged in the detail. Ego does not want to let go of the detail because it thinks the detail keeps you safe. It thinks that if I stop playing what this person said to me in my mind, okay, you can all relate to this. Tell me where this comes up for you. Something will happen. You're no longer connected to that conversation. And then suddenly ego will press play. And you hear what a person said to you. It could be years ago. It could be decades ago. Something will remind you of something, and a visual will flash into your mind about what somebody did, what somebody said, about maybe your part in something. You might press play on an emotion, and suddenly you see something that has happened in the past, and you get like a wave of guilt, or you get a wave of sadness, or you get a wave of grief. You're reacting to that thing in the past. What ego thinks that is doing is keeping you safe. I don't want you to forget this, right? So when we talk about letting go, ego goes, I do not want to let go. I don't want to let go of what that person did. I don't want to let go of remembering what that person said. I don't want to let go of how I think about this, because how I think about this is based on the truth. It's based on the past. This happened to me, and therefore I have this belief. And so ego keeps all those things and thinks, well, I'm keeping you safe. If you forget that this person hurt you, they can hurt you again. If you forget that when you dreamed about having this in your life and it didn't show up, if you want it again, you'll be disappointed. If you forget that the last time you tried this, you weren't very good at it, you'll do it again. You'll be humiliated. People will laugh at you. Can you see how that plays up in your life? Can you see the things that show up? Might be from a really long time ago, might be more recent, but there are things on your playlist. There are things on ego's playlist that it will reach for. It's favorites, right? It's favorites about what this person said to you, what this person did to you, the details of that, and it'll really get stuck in the details. When something happens to you, I'm sure you can relate to, there's a feeling for some of you, maybe more than others, some with some things more than with other things. You want to pick up the phone, you want to tell someone about it. And you want to go into great detail. You want to go, so then they said this, and then I said this, and then they said this, and then can you believe then they did this? And you want to like all the detail. And then hang on, did they say this before I said this? No, I think, no, it was the other way around. And then, and then the next time I rang them, they were like, because the detail is like, I don't want to forget the detail. I have to tell you the detail because I need to remember the detail. That, along with the emotional reaction to that hasn't gone anywhere. Now, that's just one example. There's big examples of the end of relationships, divorce, death, all sorts of things that if we get stuck in the reliving, the heaviness, the detail, and we haven't yet shifted to the how does this build me up? What can I receive from this? What are my lessons? What are my goals? It becomes those heavy anchors. Is this making sense? Let me know, the people in the room. Can you understand the difference? And are you having examples come to you where you think, yes, this is on my favorites? Can you don't have to give me details if you don't feel comfortable sharing, but can you relate to like, yes, This is on my playlist. This is on my ego's playlist. And it likes to give me this sentence, or it likes to remind me of that incident, or it likes to remind me of what that person did, or what that person, yeah, great, making sense. Let me know in the comments if you can really easily access that. Yes, I can certainly relate to this. Great. So that's your ego's, that's the detail that it holds on to. Now, I want you to know some of the things that are coming to mind might be fairly superficial things. Great. Hi, Fiona. Might be fairly superficial things. So you might be thinking, oh, yeah, okay, all right, I'll let go of that. Here's what I want you to know. There's layers of that, and some of them are deep. Some of them you might not be able to access so easily. Some of them might be more subconscious. They're deep, and they are anchoring us down. And that is stopping us. So I want you to take that another step forward and to realize it's not just that weighs us down and anchors us down. I want you to have that visual in your mind of Gulliver literally going, I can't move. And to remember, it's not time that moves, it's you that moves through time. So it's so vital right now when we're all choosing timelines through our vibration, through our frequency, through our thoughts, through what we can hold, through the amount of light we can have come in, we're choosing our timelines. So it is so important for you to look at what weighs me down. What are my anchors? Where are the places where I can't get rid of the detail? Where are the places where if I just think about letting that go, I might get some anxiety, or I get this feeling in the pit of my stomach, or my heart starts to go, nah, I'm not, or anger overtakes me. I think, no, I am not ready to let that go. Yes, I have particular experiences which are stuck in my mind. Beautiful. So you can see what I'm talking about. Now, what I want you to know about those details is ego's going, we're not letting go of that. We are not letting go of that, because if we let go of that, this is why ego does not like letting go. If we let go of that, we are vulnerable. We are exposed. What will have been the point of it if we didn't learn our lesson? Okay. It's a very big difference between ego thinks of as learning my lesson. Right. I will learn my lesson. What lessons does ego learn? Ego learns don't trust people, don't open your heart, don't ask for support, no one's there, don't expect people to understand you or to hear you or to hold space for you. These are the kinds of lessons that ego has. I'm talking about grown-up lessons. I'm talking about the wisdom that flows through every experience that you've had. They're the lessons that you want to move to, and you actually can't while you're stuck, anchored down, and in all that detail. If you can release the anchors and go, okay, you know what? I've played this over in my mind for however long. I no longer need the detail. I'm ready to move on from the detail, and I'm ready to look at what in this experience actually am I learning about myself? Am I realizing about myself? And what in this experience can I connect into, rather than anchor down? What can I connect into? Here is what's so vital at this point in time. So on the micro, if you stay really anchored down and are not ready to let things go, now this is not all just about the past. This is happening minute by minute by minute. The letting go might be something literally just happened. I'm going to let it go. I have fear around what will happen with my job. You know, it is literally, the more you can let go of the anchoring in as you walk along, the more freely you will flow, the higher the timeline you will choose, and the more access you will have. Okay, let's broaden it out. So I've been talking about things happening in this lifetime, things happening in a 3D sense. Let's broaden it out to a soul level, because here's what I want you to know. Well, many of you will already have heard before, maybe it already resonates, maybe you're not quite there yet, that because there is no such thing as time, everything happens at the same time. So the separation of all there is into experiencing separateness happened and resolved immediately. But we are still living out the separateness in each life that we are having now. And this is why I kept doing this. I don't know if you remember, for a few weeks I was like, it's starting to come, but it's not quite there yet. Because all of your lifetimes are happening now, because all of the expressions of you are now, if you are doing this, and you are anchoring in, you cannot unify again. There is no unity consciousness. There's no ability for unity consciousness for you in the here and now. Does this make sense? Am I losing you? Let's do a card. Let me know if you can start to bring the two aspects together. Let me know if you can start to widen it out to why this is so important on a soul level. And so this is, in a sense, karma, where there will be one lifetime where you have anchored something in and you go, I can't let it go yet. I can't let go the guilt of the fact that I didn't look after my mother. And so now in this lifetime, you will be like, I have to look after my mother because it's so anchored in. Or I can't let go of the guilt that I didn't provide for my family, that I lost my job, that I didn't have enough money. And so then in this one, it plays out and you have this experience of like, there's not enough money, there's not enough money, there's not enough money. That's the kind of stuff where we anchor in beliefs. If we get stuck in an experience, you'll be able to easily relate to it in this lifetime. You'll go, yeah, I got stuck in an experience. I got stuck in an experience of a bad relationship. And now I worry that I'm going to repeat that. I want you to know it flows across all of your experiences and all of your expressions. And that anchoring in can happen in a 3D reality and aspect that makes it difficult for you to be in your full expression of yourself. Does that make sense? Let me know whether that's resonating, whether you're getting that, whether that the way I'm explaining it makes sense. Yes, I have particular experiences. Yeah. Let me know, because I don't want to move on if you're like, you know what? Okay. Here, one card. Okay, let's have a look and see if the way I'm explaining it's coming up right. This one. Top one, bottom one. Make sense? Great. Thank you. Okay. And the rest of you, please let me know if it's not making sense or if it's like, what? Beautiful. Glad it resonates. Okay, we are nature. We are nature. This is from the Rose Oracle by Rebecca Campbell. Let me show you the cover. That's what it looks like. And we are nature, becoming grounded, embodiment, living in connection. So, becoming grounded is not, so it's different to anchored in. Anchored into all that stuff that holds you down means that you're not flowing. Becoming grounded means that you're tuned in. You tune in. It's really different. Feel how different that is. Feel how different, like the weight of the stuff that ego goes, don't let go, don't let go, don't let go. We won't be safe. We won't be safe. We need to know this stuff. And it schleps it around. It schleps it around from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime and builds on it like this big sack that you're kind of like carrying, dragging behind you. Put that in from this lifetime. Okay, put that in. And then what it does, and it just weighs you down more and more and more and more. Most of us, I'm going to go to the macro and how they use it to manipulate us. And then let me know if there's any questions you have. We'll go over the whole thing in more simplistic terms or in terms that resonate or as an example. So you're schlepping all this stuff through. Now, most of us in there have World War II. We have that in there. Throw it in. Okay. What we have in our little World War II file is rejection, fear, um, kind of being outcasts, camps. So I kept asking the question over the last 3 or so years, probably a couple of years leading into 2020. Why are there, and I don't know if this is just in Australia, if you're overseas, let me know if it's the same. Why are there 4 million Hitler, the N word, and World War II videos on shows on TV every week? The hidden da 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 of da da da. I'm like, how many more hidden things can there be? We've been watching the secrets that you didn't know exposed about da 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 for the last like 15 years. How many more can there be? Why is there so much of this? And I realized because here's the thing. If we carry an anchor for that in our psyche, in our soul expression, I would hazard a guess that many of us were in that time. If we did, if we do carry that anchor, it's really easy to activate it. They know that. So, in terms of on a macro level, if you want something to repeat, on a micro level in your life, the guaranteeing of something repeating is a trigger that triggers the belief that you created in the first place about a reality that you went through, and you go, this is the same. If your ego can get you to believe that this is the same. So let's say you had an experience with a friend in the past and something really bad happened, they let you down horribly, terribly, awfully, and you were on your own and you have never really gotten over that. Now, every time you make a new friend, the minute they activate, the minute in any way there's any sign of any similarity, your ego will say to you, this is the same. This is the same. What then happens is that anchor goes even more firmly into the ground. That anchor anchors you down even more firmly, and you activate all of the things that you felt first time around. The loss, the fear, the whatever, the anger, the being let down, the being rejected, the being abandoned, all of that goes and you go, this is the same. And now you think, oh, I'm having that experience because of you. You're not. You're having that experience because of that. That's what happens on a micro in your life all the time. And that is why patterns keep repeating and cycles keep repeating and nothing ever changes. It's the whole premise of why I wrote the book. It's the whole reason why I call it Nothing Can Change Until You Do, because you have to break, you have to be the circuit breaker, right? But just know that now I'm sure you can all resonate with that somewhere in your life, whether it was about a job, whether it was about a relationship, whether it was about some parenting thing that happened, whether whatever, child, whatever, money, your appearance, whatever. We're all that until we become conscious and we put in a circuit breaker and we go, no, this is not the same. And that is the only way things can change. That's the only way you can move forward through time. On a macro level, if you wanted to manipulate and control humanity, what you ensure is that people are kept in unconscious triggers. And you then present to them and you say, this is the same. This is the same. This is the same. Not only will they go into, oh my God, it is, and actually bring on board the matching resonance, the matching kind of the blueprint for them to experience that as what is happening now. But if enough of us do that, we actually call it back in. And this is why we have patterns that repeat on planet Earth. This is why wars keep repeating and famines keep repeating and violence keeps repeating and this keeps repeating and that keeps repeating and abuse keeps repeating, because we create it for them. Does that, let me know how you're able to receive that, because it's a big thing. It's a reasonably meaty thing to understand, but unless you start here where it's within you, you can just be told, well, you're feeding this. You're feeding this. You stop feeding it, but you go, but how? You need to know that they're the same. You need to know that anything that's happening on the micro is happening on the macro. And you can feel like, well, we need to fix the macro, because have a look at society, we need to fix it. Always go back to you and you start there, because that's where you learn it, because that's where your greatest foundation lies. Because once you know how to put the circuit breaker in with you, then you can start to be part of the collective circuit breaker that goes, no, we're not repeating World War II. No, we are not doing this again. And it gets presented to humanity over and over again. Do you want to do it again? 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 And it's time for us to say, no, we don't want to do it again, because we don't need to schlep around the detail. Oh my God, the camps and the this, and remember that was the same and that was the same, and get all that activated and get all that triggered and go, oh my God, because that actually anchors us in. We're actually anchored into a World War II template with whatever we're schlepping around, right? And then they suggest this is the same, and we go, oh my God, it is. And we actually step into the perfect energetics to play that out for them. Does this resonate? Do you understand this? Is this making sense to you? Paulo, that's why I'm self-destructive in some aspects of my life. Yes. So I want you to know you're not self-destructive. Your ego is self-destructive. One of the most freeing things that you can do, and one of the most powerful things that you can do, is to start to separate yourself out from the least evolved part of your mind and understand that it needs parenting from you. And it is stuck in subconscious loops, unconscious. It can't really survive outside of that, because it's stuck in a wheel of survival. It's just running on that wheel going, we just have to survive and make sure that we're not killed, and make sure that we're not humiliated, and make sure that we're not rejected, and make sure that we're not all this stuff, right? And it's running, and it's just throwing stuff at you going, this is the same, this is the same. And it's just one great big raw trigger. And when you start to move out of that, you're really going to notice when you're around people like that, because you're going to go, fucking hell. And they're just constantly reacting, and there's like nothing you could even do to kind of, at a certain point in time, you can kind of try and keep the peace, but they will just flare every now and again. Understand that that's also happening in every one of our minds. This side can go, or this side wouldn't, because this side is your wisdom. You can go, I'm going to keep the peace, but every now and again it flares, and it just takes you over. And so the separating out from that, and the realizing, I've got to be the circuit breaker. I've got to be the one going, no, this is not the same. No, this is not like that time. Because why? Because I'm lifting all the anchors and I am moving forward. That's why one of the things that I said, can't remember really what I wrote on Instagram about today, but one of the things that I said was that what we don't let go of anchors us, and the ramifications and binds us. It binds you to that, and then it binds you to that timeline. It binds you, okay, I'm going to add another layer in. Great. I'm glad, Rita. I'm glad it's resonating. Yes, I resonate. Thank you. Great. Beautiful. So there is, whether you resonate with languaging that talks about your higher self, whether you resonate with languaging that talks about your soul, whether you resonate with the languaging that you are an aspect of all there is, you are an aspect of source, you are an aspect of God, whatever languaging resonates with you, use that. What happens, the more we are bound into, so the more we have anchored in, so you're moving a lot, you're experiencing a life, things happen, ego gets triggered, trauma gets triggered, and you anchor in. That's pretty normal to get stopped in your tracks. You would want to certainly honor that and respect that. stopped in your tracks. If you watched, I did a very short little 2-minute video yesterday about empaths and about being an unconscious empath and a conscious empath. The unconscious empath gets stopped in its tracks and then looks for who's to blame. Who did this? Who put this here? Who made me feel like this? And then whoever's in front of them at that time when they're playing out that thing, you made me feel like this. You, or this experience, or the loss of my job, or the government doing this, or mandates, or that, or whatever, makes me feel like this. It's too disregarding and flippant to go, no, no one can make you feel like this. You make yourself feel like this. It's a process. So it's very normal to go and be anchored and stopped in your tracks. What you want to start doing is the circuit breaker comes in when you can be conscious in that. Firstly, let yourself experience whatever emotions, grief, sadness, anger, whatever comes. You can walk away from that experience. You can tell that person to fuck off. You can do a whole heap of things that feel right at the time. That's all totally okay. At some point, you will not move on. You will not leave that space energetically until you can ask, why is this showing up for me? Why have I bumped into this? What is unhealed in me? What is currently coming up for healing? What is currently coming up to me and going, oh, look, this is here. There's a client that I use this analogy with, and then I've used it ever since with other people. She was telling me about the fact that when she was in a relationship, this person would make her feel really bad about herself and would often say things that would make her just feel like just no sense of self-esteem, no sense of self-confidence, no sense of self-worth. Many, many years later, she was still in that, and she was still in the belief that this person had created this in her. She was still in the belief that this relationship took away all my self-esteem. This relationship took away all of my confidence. This relationship made me feel like I'm not good enough. It made me feel like I'm dumb. It made me feel like I'm fat. It made me feel like nobody wants me. And the analogy that I used with her, and that I will continue to use because I feel like it's a really powerful, good one, is that I said, what was happening was you had a chest that you had put your things into. And what this person in this relationship did was they opened the chest and they took out, imagine your old clothes, and said, is this your jumper? Is this your pair of pants? Is this your dress? Is this your old thing that you've left in here? Is this your lack of self-esteem? And you went, nope, it's not. My God, how could you show that to me? Is this your complete lack of sense of self? Is this your fear that you're not very intelligent that I'm holding up for you? And you now think I brought it with me, but they haven't brought it with them. You carry it around. They have just found it and gone, is this yours? So what the unconscious empath does is it goes, no, that is not mine. That is yours. You are showing that to me. I will make sure I have boundaries. I will make sure I tell you to go. I will say, you cannot talk to me like that, and you cannot do that with me. And that unconscious empath then turns to somebody else. Ego's already triggered to go, you're going to see it again. You're going to see it again. So now they're already on high alert, even more anchored in. And what happens? It's literally like Gulliver's Travels. They're literally anchored into that reality. They're literally anchored into that energetics, into that vibration. And now life just, well, not in any kind of way of being it's never a, what's the word? It's never a punishment. But it's the energetics are switched on to that. So you're going to get more of that, 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 more of that. And more people are just going to show it to you in this actually beautiful opportunity to heal, to go, oh, that's mine. Oh, that's mine. So imagine people constantly standing in front of you and going, is this your complete lack of self-worth? And you go, no, it's yours. And you whack it away and you tell them to go away, and you're just doing that for a whole lifetime. And you're like, oh my God, people treat me so badly. What's happening is They're unpacking your stuff. They're literally that chest, that thing you've schlepped with you for who knows how many lifetimes. They're picking it up and they're going, is this yours? And if you can be the circuit breaker and you can go, yes, yes, it is. Thank you so much for showing it to me. Because now I can actually lift that anchor up and go, okay, I'm not going to stay anchored in the reality of that. Does that help you to understand how on the micro they're saying, is this yours? Is this yours? On the macro, they're going, you want to do World War II again? You want to do camps again? Do you want to do famine and disease? And do you want to do it again? And we're going, oh my God, how can you show that to me? But we're anchored into that blueprint because of what we're still schlepping along from other lifetimes, from this lifetimes, and we're going, no, my God, quick, reject it. But actually, we're continually creating it for them. We're easy to manipulate into that because we're anchored into that energetic blueprint. Does that, and then I want to add on something else in a minute. But let me know where you're at with that. Let's just take a breath. Just breathe that in and breathe out. And let me know how that is starting to come together for you. Lisa, yes, if others don't mind, can you talk about finances? I'm done with just surviving. I want to thrive, but not sure where my sabotage pattern comes from to help me move past this point. So, Lisa, there is a whole exercise in my book. It is chapter 5, and it takes you through. It's not that I'm not happy to do it with you, but outside of like your own session, the best way to get your own information on what created that for you is to go through, get a pen and paper, write on it, mum, and then write on it, dad, and then start to fill in what you saw about how they handled money, how they spoke about money, how money was a thing in your home as you were growing up, how were people with money spoken about, how were material things spoken about, what was, say, even the word around the word surviving. Do I remember hearing surviving? Do I remember hearing thriving? What did they tell me about careers? What kind of people make money? What kind of things will ensure that I have enough money as I go through my life? You might even expand it out into, did they talk about like men making money, women not so much? Did they talk about, and you start to look at that. Now, why I want you to write down when you were a child is because that's when your ego was at its most aware, also at its most blank slate, and going, what do I need to know to get myself like through this life? What do I need to know to survive? Because ego's said to that. And it will have started to listen. And there could be a lot of things now could be like, well, that's not me. I don't even believe that. Yes, but if that's still in there and that's still programmed, and ego has that on a subconscious loop about anything in your life, then that's what it throws out there as truth. And so you're actually like in conflict with yourself, because your conscious self can be writing all these wonderful, beautiful. That's why I say, like, that's why the back of the book says, like, if you've ever made a vision board, prayed, willed life to be better, to be different, if you've changed jobs, friends, cities, or partners only to find yourself in the same patterns with the same outcomes, this book is for you. Because the patterns come from our subconscious and our child programming of what we saw, not even necessarily what was said, what we saw, because that's always more powerful than what was said. And that is what runs in us as, okay, they're really the foundational beliefs. And then we have the, pie in the sky stuff that we add on, where we go, well, I'm going to be different, and I'm not going to be like, and I'm going to thrive. I'm not going to be survive. I'm going to thrive. And then, you write your affirmation and you do your vision boarding and do whatever, and then it doesn't happen. And then, unfortunately, the law of attraction has been bastardized down so much and sold so much on a 3D level that we then think, well, but I should be able to manifest anything I want. And that's actually not the reality of it. And also we believe like, well, if I can't manifest it, then there's something wrong with me. I'm doing it wrong, rather than actually we've been taught it very badly. So do that, Lisa, and that will get you really good information on, I mean, if you can get the book, even better, because you don't have to, but it will talk you through like how it works, why it works, and then you can look at how to shift on that. But start with, what did I actually see? Because that's the actual stuff. That's your anchors. That's your anchors. And it's time to lift those anchors up. Okay. It's actually a really good example of what will be anchoring you in. Wow, so interesting. Thank you. The answer was always no if I ask. Yeah, the answer was always ask. Oh my God, Lisa, grab a pen, grab some paper, write down, the answer was always no if I asked. Put a line under that and then write, how does this still play out now when I ask the universe for things? Guaranteed that will be such a powerful thing that will be running through you. And you probably don't ask for much, because you probably get frightened. Well, it's just going to be no anyway. So let me just see if I can work around without asking. Can I do it myself? Can I do it without support? Can I? Because the answer will probably be no if I ask. So can I do it with the most minuscule little amount? Because then at least I don't have to be disappointed with hearing a no. There would be so much in that, Lisa, so much. So all the unpleasant experiences we have in life are a reflection of the unhealed aspects of ourselves. Yes and no, but what's the definition of unpleasant? If I am in mastery, which we all are, we're all in mastery here. If you're listening to this, you are for sure. That's not blowing smoke up my own ass. That's just saying, if you weren't ready to receive this information, then you may not be here for that. If you are listening to this information and you are ready, great, Lisa, and you are ready to receive it, then you are here for mastery. So unpleasant, what's unpleasant? Could it be a situation that stretches you? Could it be a situation that allows you to practice your mastery? Then it's not necessarily about unhealed parts of you. It can be about you getting the opportunity to expand into your mastery. This is the other thing that I wanted to talk about. Adding on to what binds us manipulates us. So what binds us, we know that on a macro level, they want to convince us that we are not as powerful as we are. If we can forget our power, we are easily manipulated. Now, remember when I say them, you can receive that at whatever level you want to. Okay, then them can be industries that want to manipulate you with your feeling of not enough, right? Can be fashion, can be skin products, can be like beauty, can be fitness, spiritual stuff, that whatever, right? Can be at that level, can be government that want to manipulate you into forgetting the power that you would have and that you might thrive much more without them. It can, and then it can be at more energetic levels, at whatever you see they as. Doesn't matter. You just hear it at whatever level you're ready to hear it. They can manipulate us with what binds us. So all those anchors, if they activate them, remember we go, oh my God, this means this. And we go into the pattern of replaying it and replaying it. So in this like having forgotten ourselves, if they can keep activating us feeling like, oh my God, or just to activate those anchors, then that unity that I was talking about before, in order for unity consciousness in yourself, remembering you are part of all there is, remembering, okay, let's keep it at this level. Because the process that I talked about will have happened in every life. that you've ever had, that you are having now. Because that process has happened in every human life, anchored, stuck in time, stuck in place, cannot move, feeling like it's out here that's not changing when actually it's your anchors that just weigh you down so much. That stops you from being able to access all of the things you've learned in those lifetimes, all of the things you're able to do, all of the multi-dimensional aspects of you. It's difficult to access them and remember who you are and remember your power when you're so heavily anchored in. Now, a lot of people's teachings will say, like, there's literally grid stuff above that stops stuff from coming into Earth. I don't know about that. I don't know to what extent, excuse me, I don't know to what extent, okay, I'm sneezing, I'm not sneezing. I don't know to what extent that happens. But energetically, you yourself will open yourself up when you're not so heavily anchored down and anchored in. You will be able to connect to, and that's the card that came up when I hopped on quickly on Saturday. And I said, I'm going to mention this card today, the Anointed. Answer the call, leadership, empowerment, soul gifts. Your soul gifts cannot be accessed while you're so heavily bound in this lifetime to what you're certain is you and what you can do and can't do and what you don't have and what you do have and what you have to do in this lifetime and all the limits and all the things that anchor you and all that weight that you're just literally buckling under. You cannot access. And so therefore that unity consciousness that is the opportunity right now, not just in your own life, but on a collective, the unity consciousness of like, if we remember that we're all connected, if we remember that we're all part of the whole, we would not be able to play out the things we do with each other in terms of war and all of that sort of stuff. It just would not work. It would not work. So let me know where you're at. Let me know what questions you have. And let me know if there's anything you need me to repeat or go over again in terms of letting go, why ego doesn't like to do it, how not letting go anchors us in, remembering that it's not time that moves, it's you that moves through time, and how that anchoring in process, that not letting go process, ensures that everything stays the same. Remembering that what's happening is you've got stuff that you have validly experienced and lived through. You've got an ego that has made beliefs and a reality based on that is getting triggered constantly to tell you this is the same, this is why it's never going to change, it's always going to be like this, it's always going to be like this. That's what ego does, because that makes it feel safe. You need to be the circuit breaker, and that it is by getting rid of the details. So that heaviness, the stuff that ego holds on to, because it goes, if you forget this, we are a sitting duck. If you forget what happened in that relationship, if you forget the person that broke your heart, if you forget what they said to you, if you forget what they did, if you forget the kids that picked on you in school and you were bullied, or if you forget that your parent that bullied you or all that sort of stuff, if you forget that, you're a sitting duck. You're vulnerable and it'll happen again. You will dream and you will vision and you will want a life of more, and you're not going to get it, because this is what happens in this world. And so don't even want it in the first place, because if you want it, you're an idiot. And if you want it, you're going to get heartbroken. And if you want, so just come back. If you don't learn to be that circuit breaker, nothing can change. And the same is happening on a macro level, on a collective level. And that is why they show us all of this World War II stuff, because they want us to repeat it. Because they've never had the power to do it, but we have the power to create it. We have the power to play it out. Have you not seen in the last 2 years, more than ever before, it is the people that police each other, it is the people that police themselves, it is the people that carry out The dictatorships. A dictator can do nothing, nothing, nothing. They merely suggest. They give you the fear. They provide the fear, they provide the manipulation, they provide the propaganda, they provide the here, have a look at this, have a look at this, have a look at this. And then the people are the ones that take it on and go, let me play it out for you. And that is why we see 58,624 Hitler specials every week on Australian TV. I'm imagining most likely across the world. That is why we see pictures of camps. That is why you see all sorts of things happening, because they want to have our anchors so deeply in that and go, I remember that, and go into it and create it for them. Can procrastination be an anchor too? Yes, for sure. Well, procrastination is what happens with the anchors in a sense, because procrastination is a confused mind. Procrastination can be a number of things. It's often will show you that it's often about perfectionism, and then it's this fear of not getting it right. And so you can get stuck in, I mean, a lot of anxiety, a lot of OCD is that kind of perfectionism at the height, like how it can really play out at its extreme. It's ego going, I'm so scared of not getting it right, I'm just not going to do anything at all. And that's depression, in a sense, to not do anything at all, when ego goes, I'm not going to do anything at all. But procrastination comes in when this other part of you, your higher self, goes, but I want to, or you go, but I want to. And then it's like, but I want to, no, but I can't, I won't be good enough. But I want to, no, I won't have the money. But I want to, no, people won't support me. And so it's this thing of like, this fear of even getting it started. What you could do there is definitely dial it back about 100 degrees, because what ego does is, like, we will say like with money, I want to make more money, but how? I want to have this in my life, but how will you pay for it? It always wants to know 50,000 steps ahead. So just dial it back and just take the next step. That's why in my sessions, when I do my like clarity sessions, which are kind of like standalone sessions, why the three things that we answer for wherever you are at this point in time is, what is here for me, where is my power, and what's my next step. Not what's my 24th step, not what will happen in 2 years time, not how will I make sure that everybody, it's like, what's my next step, based on once I'm connected in with my power. And procrastination is definitely missing the power. Thank you. Yes, it makes total sense. How do we release ourselves from the anchoring? Well, you become the circuit breaker, where you go, no, it's time for change. I don't need the detail. You get rid of the anchoring by going, this detail that actually weighs me down, I don't need it. I don't need this detail beyond kind of a certain allowing of processing and a certain allowing of honoring where I feel. Like, you don't want to be speaking to a friend and say, oh, wow, like this lady on the street just said this to me, and they go, oh, don't get stuck in the detail. That's extreme. But if you're talking about, okay, let's use the example of the client that I had that was telling me about what her ex would do. So when I said to her, but really, he's just holding up your stuff, at that point, the detail of what he did and what he said is just, that's the anchor. That she can let go of, and she can start to look at and free herself and stand up and start moving again by going, okay, where am I doing this to myself? He was showing me what was there. They're only ever showing me what is here. They can't show me things. Nobody can make me feel less than if I do not agree to play that out with them. Nobody can make me feel like an idiot if I don't already have something in me that lives there that's a bit worried about being an idiot or looking like an idiot. And that's ego stuff. Does that make sense? Any other questions? It's a big one today, I know. Maybe rewatch it back, even if you were here live, and just kind of like let it, put questions underneath for sure if you're watching the replay, or if you're listening back to it. Any questions, any thoughts, any feelings about the other thing is, too, don't get always too caught up in the, okay, so but how will I do that? Because sometimes you layer the understanding, the how. When I teach things to people, they often will, the next question will be, well, but how will I do that? And really, most of the time when that question is asked of me, it's ego asking it, and it wants, like, okay, what's the 1 or 2 or 3 steps that I can do to ensure that never happens again? And that's not how life works. And that, Haruka, is why when you said, like, is the unpleasant experiences to show where we're unhealed? Experiences come in order for mastery. So if you are somebody that has repeatedly had a pattern appear in your life through when you interact with others, that pattern is not going to go away until you react differently. So the circuit breaker has to be put in internally in how you think about it, how you talk to yourself about it. But then it's your reaction that becomes different to the thing. And it can be as simple as, obviously, I talk about the power of the pause. It can be as simple as, so the power of the pause, taking a breath. You can even in your mind go, we're not doing this, and you walk away. So the thing that would always trigger you into an argument at a family thing, the thing that would always trigger you into, like, whatever, becoming unconscious, you breathe, we're not doing this. Rita, with your ego, when you're in the procrastination, so there's something that you're like, I'm not doing anything because maybe I don't know what I want to do. Okay, we're not doing this. I am doing something. What do I feel like doing right now? So get rid of the, what do I feel like doing with my life? What do I feel like doing? What's my part in saving the world? Like, bring it back to here. If you find you procrastinate, take a breath. Go, okay, that breath will be the circuit breaker, and literally just ask, what do I feel like doing right now? And if that's even too open-ended for you, then go back to what we would do, like with a child, where we say, do you want to wear the red shoes or the blue shoes today? Do you want to put on the dress or do you want to put on the pants? Do you want to? So start to present that to yourself to get you to make decisions and to move out of procrastination. Do I want to have a tea? Do I want to have a coffee? Okay, do I want, okay, I'm going to read for 10 minutes. Do I want to read this? Just grab 2, go, do you want to read this one or this one? And so just really bring it back, make it easy steps. Clear as mountain water. I love that. Beautiful. Yes. So any questions, pop them in. I'm going to pick a few cards for us for the collective. 2 of these. Okay. And you pop in any questions, any thoughts, any ahas, anything that you would like to share before we head off. 1, 2. Okay. Wow. They came out. Okay. These are from the Starseed Oracle deck from Rebecca Campbell. And the first one is the Golden Children. That's a beautiful portal. The Golden Children. Inner child, tenderness, innocence, rare gifts. Rare gifts. Your rare gifts cannot be experienced while you're anchored in and heavy. Your rare gifts are available to you now. At this point in time, as more and more light comes in, your gifts from all the aspects of you, the multidimensionality of you, think of it like a light prism. Prism, not prism. Prism, think of it like a light prism, and all of the light beams that come off that are now available to you. They are going to require the continual process of letting go and let go and let go and let go. In order, that was the other thing that I said, our inability to let go not only stops us from moving forward, it stops us from moving up, if that's how you want to think about your actual, your energetics, like your the words today. If that's how you want to think about your vibration, right? If vibration is how, if you want to think of it as up and down, like more light, less light, light, shadow, you cannot do that that without letting go. So the letting go process is part of moving forward. The letting go process is what's required in the moving up. As you do that, you have access to more and more of your gifts, your multi-dimensional gifts, which will make this time easier and easier for you to navigate. And the other card is the Seven Star Sisters. The Seven Star Sisters. Birthing Creations, Tapestry of Life, Expression. That's a beautiful one. Do you want me to do a whole thing on that? No, but have a look at the book. Okay, let's have a look at the book. Let's see what more information we need on that, because that feels really profound. The Seven Star Sisters 100. Okay, this is a question that's being asked of you, like at the bottom of the book that comes with the cards, and this is what's testing up. Star Seed Soul Inquiry. What new creations are you being called to birth? What new creations are you being called to birth? Pop that down on a bit of paper. Ask it once a day, once every couple of days. Ask it when you're sitting outside. Ask it when you're drinking a coffee. Take some breaths. Ask it, what am I being called to birth? Now, remember, so procrastination can definitely go, oh my God, what do I do? I don't know. Maybe I'm being called to birth a new idea. Maybe I'm being called to birth some more joy in my life. Maybe I'm being called to birth a community. Maybe I'm being called to birth a garden. Maybe I'm being called to birth an artwork. Maybe I'm being called to birth knitting a scarf and the beautiful, like knitting, anything that is like actually takes you to your breath and is very repetitive can be so beautifully mindful and so like calming, and can really like be like a meditation. What am I being called to birth can be anything from planting some parsley in a pot to creating a community to whatever. So don't always go out here, start and just ask your heart, what am I being called to birth? Ask your mind, ask your energy, ask your soul. What am I being called to birth? What am I being called to birth? It might be a sense of self. I'm being called to birth myself. I'm being called to birth all that I am. I'm being called to birth all that I can be. I'm being called to birth honesty. I'm being called to birth love. I'm being called to birth so ask yourself that question. And don't worry if no answer comes for a while, and ask it in lots of different environments, and ask it when you're happy, and ask it when you've taken some beautiful breaths, and ask it when you're sad, and ask it when when you hop into bed at night, ask it in the middle of the day. Just ask it all the time and see what insights come, and just allow them to come. Don't push it. I'm starting to slowly release my anchors, ready to move forward, really trying to find balance at the moment. Friendships, interesting, always speak my truth, but can't be bothered because no longer relate. Yeah, so you don't want to be speaking to people that cannot receive what you are expressing. That is actually an act of disrespect for yourself. It can seem like it's an act of disrespect from them, but it's actually an act of disrespect from yourself, from you to you. The other thing is, when you still continue to speak what these people do not want to hear and do not want to receive, that is an act of disrespect to them. People ask me less now, but at the start of all this, I used to get a lot of questions about how can I wake my friends up? And I'm not saying that's what you're doing, Fiona, but there was a lot of like, how can I get them to know what's going on? How can I get them, family, friends, whatever? How can I make sure people know what's happening? I love that makes your heart sing, Catherine. How can I get them to know what's happening? And it's not your job. And the example that I used a lot back in that time was, when you do that, like, how do you feel when people knock on your door and go, do you know Jesus? Do you know the Lord? Do you want me? And you go like, I don't know, I don't, Mormons or Jehovah's Witnesses or anybody knocking on your door and convincing you of a truth and something that's right for them that does not resonate with you. It is disrespectful. You don't want it. So you don't do that. You don't come knocking on people's doors. If you've presented something, if you're living your truth, you've presented it, and they're like, yeah, no, that's not for me. The respectful thing is stop doing that. If it gets to the point where, okay, we cannot, the most respectful thing is to actually part ways so that we can both be full expressions of who we are. Great. Beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the most respectful thing that you can do for both of you. So don't be speaking to somebody that's not hearing. It's really disrespectful to yourself. Big one for sure. My ego and I need to release some anchors today. Beautiful. 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 So your ego needs you, Rita, to be the adult in the room. It needs you to be the parent. It needs you to be the adult in the room. It needs you to hold space for your ego with love and compassion, because your ego, my ego, everybody's ego on the planet, everybody's on the planet is the least evolved part of us, and it needs our compassion and it needs our love, and it is whirling in fear, and it wants to hold on to everything, and it's going to go, don't let go, because we're going to be so exposed. We're going to be like walking around naked. You're the one that needs to say, no, if we don't let go, nothing can ever actually change. So parent it like you would the child. Literally see it like a child holding onto its blankie and going, oh my God, if I was to lose this, I would die. Right? The child that's got its little toy going, if I was to lose this, oh my God. And think of the meltdown when it loses it. Our egos are the same. When we think about if I was to lose that belief that there is not enough and just live as though there is, oh my God, what would happen? I'd end up homeless and it's the same. So start to understand, like you would be gentle with that child, be gentle with yourself. All right, a card to go for someone in particular. But I'm just going to choose it. I don't need to say, but you will know, or it will resonate with you how it's meant to resonate with you. That one of those. Okay. So the person will know. Might be somebody watching the replay, whatever. However this resonates with you, just one. Yeah. Okay. And then we'll take a breath. Take a nice deep breath in and let go. That's a circuit breaker. Think how powerful that is. Feel into how powerful that is. It's a circuit breaker. Brings you back to you. Now you're conscious. Now you're back in the room. Now you can go, now what? And you don't have to have the answer straight away. Okay, taking shelter, the answers are within. Taking shelter, the answers are within. It doesn't feel like it's for all of you. It feels like it's very specific, but you'll know if it's for you or if you're watching the replay. Okay. All right, beautiful folks. Thank you for joining me today. It was a big one. Let it land just let it land in bits. Just let it land. Sit with some of it. See what resonates. If it doesn't, let it go. It doesn't matter. It's not for you. Maybe watch it. Maybe watch this one again. And I'd love to know your thoughts. Pop them in the comments. I'd love to know. You can if you're on Instagram, you can put them underneath the picture that I'll put up in a minute of this as well. Let me know what landed, how you feel about it, and let me know if it's brought up other things, because that's what will create the content for the Monday check-ins. All right, beautiful. Yeah, you know what? I think I might rewatch it myself. It's been there for a while and it was like this. And I don't know that I've done it justice. So, thank you, Paula. So what I might do is I might rewatch it at some point in time, see what the parts are that need expanding on, and go from there. All right, great, Lisa. Thank you, everyone. Much love to you. Have a wonderful Monday. Remember to set the tone for the week. Remember that you set the tone, so become conscious on what tone you want to set and bring that to every situation. you are in. Thank you, Rita. You're very kind. Thank you, everyone. All right. Take care. Much love.